For over 4 seasons, Josh Reddick has been an integral part of the green and gold. Traded to the A's before the 2012 season, Reddick became a fan favorite from the moment he arrived. His hustle, leadership, and all-around baseball skills have made him a presence in the clubhouse. In his first year as an Athletic, Reddick slugged 32 home runs, won a Gold Glove, and was a big part of the team that made the postseason 3 years in a row. With the trade deadline looming, Josh's name has been floated around, and whichever way the front office decides, Reddick will always be a huge part of the A's success during this era. Reddick and the A's take on the Rays next. It is Friday Night Baseball from the Coliseum. Last night, the Rays won 7-3. Tonight, Josh Reddick and the Athletics will try to even up this series at a game apiece, and the big left-hander Sean Manaea is going to take the hill for the Athletics. It's Game 2 of the 4-game series. It's the Rays and the A's coming up on CSN California. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball, along with Ray Fosse. I'm Glenn Kuiper. It's been a good second half for the A's. They're 4-3. It's been a good second half for Josh Reddick, Ray, and he's had a nice second half. Looks like he's finally healthy. He struggled a little bit coming back from the disabled list, but the swing is back.
How many players would say, let's hit the reset button? It's what he did the second half, and he's been outstanding. But you look at the fact that Josh Reddick acquired from the Boston Red Sox. He's had tremendous numbers offensively. He's won a Gold Glove. He's done about everything you'd like to see in a player who wants to play every day. You put him in third spot in the batting order. That's where your best hitter is, and he's proven to be exactly that, and especially with the way they're shifting against him. He'll go to the opposite field. He'll take the base hits if necessary, but just really is a great ball player.
And he's batting second tonight, which is an interesting move. Sean Manaea is going to take them out for the A's. Of course, his last appearance was the relief appearance, and he pitched well in that relief appearance, ended up with a no decision.
He's facing the Tampa Bay Rays for the first time. However, since he has returned from the disabled list, he's pitched extremely well. Of course, he's made some starts. He's not gotten a decision. He's pitched well enough to get some wins, but what he did last Sunday, I think, says a lot about the young man to put on the cleats, go down to the bullpen, pitch 5 innings, and as Liam Hendriks said straight to his face, you saved us today. You saved the bullpen. He did a great job then, and he hopes to do the same tonight.
And it'll be the right-hander Jake Odorizzi pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays. Big night at the ballpark. It is Bark at the Park. Bring them along, baby. We got a stadium full of dogs. We're going to have fun tonight. Game 2 of the series is coming up.
California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. It's back. The Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack. Taste it before it's gone at Jack in the Box. And by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places.
A's are set for baseball, and so are we. Game 2 of the 4-game series, the A's and the Rays tonight. Game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. It's a nice night, 71 degrees, just about like last night. And it is Bark at the Park. So lots of dogs in the ballpark tonight. So they will cheer on the A's as well.
I can't wait for that.
So let's look at the Rays lineup for tonight. It starts with Logan Forsythe. He's the second baseman. Then Brandon Guyers in left. Evan Longoria is at third. Steve Pearce is the first baseman. He's having a good year, part-time duty. Steven Souza will be in right. Corey Dickerson's the DH. And then Tim Beckham, Kevin Kiermaier, Luke Maile.
Left-hander Sean Manaea on the mound for the Athletics. He's making his 14th appearance, but his 13th start. And that is a big story there because he did not pitch Tuesday when he was scheduled. He's never pitched against the Rays, but he did pitch Sunday in relief of Rich Hill, who lasted just 5 pitches. So Sean Manaea pitching tonight and should be ready to go for his first start against Tampa Bay.
Chris Smolinski and Reddick in the outfield for the A's. Healy, Alcantara, Lowry, and Alonso on the infield, and Stephen Vogt is your catcher. So we're set as Logan Forsythe is in the box and Sean Manaea deals, and the first pitch is a strike. So Marcus Semien getting the night off, and it has been a long time since that has happened. Hasn't happened this year till tonight. Started each one of the first 96 games, played all but 3 innings. And the second pitch of the game is drilled towards Smolinski, who goes to his right, and he's got it. So a hard hit ball, but Forsythe is retired. Joe West is calling balls and strikes, and he is the crew chief as well. Then Kerwin Danley, Andy Fetcher, and Mark Ripperger are the rest of the group.
Nice to see Big Joe smiling on the first batter. A little Stephen Vogt, maybe a little funny or something. Got Joe with a nice smile.
So with 1 out, here's Brandon Guyer hitting in the 2 spot.
Sean Manaea pitched a very good game in relief last Sunday. Of course, might have pitched one of his better games, 5 innings, did not walk a batter, 4 strikeouts.
Up and away, 1-1 the count. Longoria to follow here in the first. So Sean Manaea looking for his 4th win of the year.
Here the dogs already cheering for the A's.
Yeah. Good pitch there, down and in. Hit hard toward Alcantara, who scoops it up across the diamond. So 2 away. Well, tonight we'll answer your Facebook questions on air, and we'll do it throughout the game. And we're currently taking questions, so head to facebook.com/CSN Bay Area and submit your questions now. So we'll have some fun with that tonight as well.
Well, maybe Marcus Semien is saying exactly what Stephen Vogt would say when he played for the Rays, and of course with the A's and teams that do what both clubs do, and that is, as he would say, I'm not in the game at the onset. And so, meaning that stay ready, and Marcus Semien, if it calls for him to be in the game, somehow Bob Melvin will try to get him in. And you know, the consecutive game play streak is one that players enjoy, and the skipper very well aware. And Contra gets the start tonight in place of Sean Manaea, or Marcus Semien. But you think back to the great Cal Ripken Jr. He had 26-32, and on that day he sat, and nobody could believe that he was sitting. And Marcus Semien probably the same, although several, well, 2,500 games shy.
And a hard slider down and in, and that's a good first inning for Sean Manaea. He finishes it with a strikeout of Longoria. The lineup tonight for the Athletics. Coco Crisp is going to lead off and left. Then Reddick hits second tonight. Davis third. Stephen Vogt will be the cleanup hitter. Followed by Lowry, Smolinski, Alonso, Healy, and Alcantara.
And it will be the right-hander Jake Odorizzi still looking for his first win against the Athletics. He is 0-2. Made a start back on the 13th of May. Picked up a loss in St. Petersburg. But a young pitcher whose name has surfaced considerably with the trading deadline approaching. A number of pitches that he will throw, and he would like to have a better first inning than he had against the A's back in St. Petersburg. 44 pitches thrown first inning, including 4 runs, a 3-run home run by Chris Davis, and a 14-pitch at bat by Billy Burns.
Coco slaps one foul, headed down toward the A's bullpen.
Look like Ichiro.
Yep.
Ichiro's approaching 3,000 hits in U.S. baseball.
Very close.
Yeah. 1 or 2?
He's a big game away. Yeah, something like that. Bunted. Pretty good bunt. Odorizzi barehands, and his throw to first is in time. Nice play by Jake Odorizzi. Defensively for the Rays tonight, Geyer in left, Kiermaier in center, Souza in right, Longoria, Beckham, Forsythe, and Pierce on the infield. Maile again the catcher. So Tim Beckham, who played first base last night, is playing shortstop tonight.
That Odorizzi barehanded a bunt by Coco Crisp, trying to get something started. But a nice play by the pitcher Odorizzi to make a strong throw to Pierce at first.
So with 1 out, Reddick steps up. Reddick hitting in the 2 spot. Average right at 300. 6 homers, 23 RBIs. He's got 6 hits in his last 14 at bats. And it's a quick 0-2 count. So this is the 20th game for Reddick since coming off the disabled list. The first 9 were not great. The last 10 have been pretty good.
Say catcher's interference. That's what he's pointing at the catcher, and that is well, let's see if he makes contact with the catcher's mitt. And ooh, yeah, watch the catcher bring
gave it away.
Yeah, he did. Brings his catcher's mitt back, but
yep.
No question. Wow, Joe, what are you looking at? You're looking right at the barrel of the bat. Clearly almost knocked his catcher's mitt off his hand. That should have been an E2. No at bat for Josh. And Rip and he are talking about it, and Rip said, "I so far away, I wasn't paying attention." See, and talk about challenges.
That pitch, one like that, ball in the dirt, caught.
See, this is the only thing about the replay system that bugs me. You should be able to challenge every play.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Exactly. If you're challenging everything, he's going to call Kerwin Danley, all the other umpires.
If there's a mistake, then replays are there to correct the mistake.
Exactly.
It's just.
Now, Joe's a crew chief, and Joe's saying, guys, I didn't see anything. What did you see? Now, what do you think they're going to answer? And they're going to say, guess what? Did no contact. Sorry? Yeah, sorry because you missed it, Joe. I guess you have to knock the catcher's mitt off of his hand.
So the problem is, Ray, we're all sitting here. We see the replay. Yeah. Our entire audience sees the replay. He clearly hit the glove.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can't do anything with that play.
About it because it's in front.
No
exactly. And just like the play when Jason Castro backhanded the ball that short hopped on a foul ball, and they said, no, he caught it in the air. So
that's
once
the
again,
only thing I cannot figure out.
I think I'll see Joe tomorrow and ask him if he looked at the replay of it. And here we go. Watch the catcher's mitt. Bam, bam.
Right in the thumb.
Yep, hit him in the thumb. And watch the catcher. Mainly brings it back. And I guess, seriously, you almost have to knock it off the catcher's hand for it to be called. In this case, 4 guys didn't see it.
3-2 to Reddick. Slaps one foul.
But in reality, Maile, with his manager, a former catcher, Kevin Cash, looking on, say, back up. Don't go after the ball. Let the ball come to you. And Maile happened to do that. He went after it, and he's close anyway. And any type of a hitter has a swing that Josh Reddick did. You're going to hit it.
Another one left side. Rays will chase after this one, but it drops into the seats. Packer fan got it.
Starting pretty soon, aren't they?
Yep.
Lambeau Field would love to have this kind of weather.
Another 3-2 to Reddick. Chris Davis to follow. And again, another foul ball. You just kind of see Reddick's at-bats just getting better the last week and a half.
It's the 10th pitch in the at-bat.
Chases that one, so it's all said and done. Odorizzi gets the strikeout.
Well, that's a runner at first, and no at bat for Josh, and E2. Instead, it's a strikeout on a split. Something in the dirt that he could not make contact. And Josh flipped his bat as he headed back to dugout, and it's frustrating because he knows where he should have been.
Expo brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. So with 2 outs, here's Chris Davis. See, to me, Ray, finishing up our thought on plays like that. I mean, it's not an easy play for an umpire. It's a bang bang call, right? Okay. Just like is there a foul ball in the dirt like the play we had the other night? But because it's a tough call, and because the other umpires are so far away, that's the kind that should be reviewed.
Right. Exactly.
Because it is a difficult play, difficult call for an umpire.
I agree. 100%.
So Davis strikes out, and it's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Jake Odorizzi. And Dickerson, the 4, 5, 6 hitters to face Sean Manaea. Steve Pearce did not play last night. He's playing first base tonight. Tough on left-handed pitching, Steve Pearce. And a quick 0-2.
Throw another one now. Another changeup. Remember Tulowitzki in the start that Manaea had against the Toronto Blue Jays. A 2-run home run by Tulowitzki. Threw him a great changeup, an 0-2 fastball out of the strike zone. He crushed it for a home run to straightaway center field.
Takes that one, 1-2. Pearce had .322 with 10 homers and 29 RBIs. Did he go? Yes, he did, says Joe West. So, second strikeout. Remember, we're answering your questions tonight on Facebook. Head to facebook.com/CSN Bay Area and submit your question. Our first one tonight is from Sharon Bradley. Good question. How many baseballs are used in an average game? I've been crazy to know. Ray, I know you did a little research, checked with Steve Vucinich.
Too many.
You got a number?
Too many.
Okay, Sharon, too many is the answer tonight, so we're off to a good start.
Well, we're talking about 10 dozen, which is 120. Now, there are at least 10 dozen, if not more, rubbed up every day. So
Okay.
about 10 dozen are used, 120 baseballs. But sadly, every time a ball touches the ground, the catcher hands it to the umpire. Why? Throw it back to pitcher, make the hitter ask. And I say that because if you get a little scuff on a baseball, maybe a catcher asks for a new baseball because the pitcher might not know how to use the scuff. But there are pitchers in the past who could take a scuff on a baseball and turn it in such a way that make it do so many funny things. But inevitably, I think more are used now just because that every ball, once it touches the ground, somehow, some way, is replaced. But around 10 dozen. Now, one thing I did find out was that in the past, and we'd see another new dozen balls brought out, and they take the wrapping and take a pearl, as they call them. Well, I was told that so many are rubbed up, they don't do that anymore. That if all that bag, which holds about anywhere from 7 to 10 dozen baseballs, once they're depleted, they fill it up with new or baseballs that have been rubbed up.
Sure.
You know, they don't have to worry about using whatever to take a brand new baseball, the pearl, as they say, all white, and try to rub it up and take the sheen off.
So 120 are prepared. And probably a good share of them are used.
Yeah, on average at about 10 dozen. About 10 dozen.
Now batting, designated hitter.
John Whitehead has a question the other night. As we're talking about the Astros and Jose Altuve going for a natural cycle. What did you mean by a natural cycle?
Well, in his first 3 at-bats, he had a single, a double, and a triple. Well, the natural cycle is single, double, triple, home run, and he had 3 of those. And had he had home run his 4th, it would have been a natural cycle. And they call it a reverse cycle, too. A home run, triple, double, single.
There you go.
But
doing natural cycle is just you're doing it in order.
Now, our good friend Vince Cotroneo, who does not believe that a cycle is worthy of even talking about. So we'll either show him or talk about it on A team tonight. But evidently there was a player who had double, triple, home run, needed a single, and bunted with a 5-run lead to try to get the single for a cycle. And he said, that's my theory. So, but that doesn't all. Listen, Benji Molina gets a cycle. And Benji, the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right part of the ballpark at Fenway.
Exactly. So I think cycles are something that's rare. And I'd say especially you either have power or you have speed. Usually you don't have both. But the guy hits a cycle has to have some sort of speed. But that's the natural cycle. Single, double, triple, home run.
Doesn't happen very often.
No. I like the cycle when a guy has a, it doesn't even have to be natural, but a home run's a slam.
That's right.
Mark Kotsay, yeah, he's got one.
2-2 the count to Corey Dickerson.
Take somebody that does not hit a lot of home runs. Yep. It's rare. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you might have speed and you could get your single, double, triple, but if you don't have the power to hit a lot of home runs, forget the cycle.
Reach for, poked foul back to the screen by Dickerson.
But the one thing about fans in the cycle, they know, and it's amazing as a hitter comes up needing one part of the cycle to complete it. They're very well aware of it, and if it does happen, and well, it does not take the PA announcer to announce it. PA announcer tonight, by the way, is Chris Townsend. So we welcome Chris into the PA announcer's booth.
Healy hustling over, and he goes into a slide. He hangs on. Nice play by Ryan Healy in front of his own dugout. So 6 up, 6 down for Sean Manaea, no score. The A's and the Rays continue to answer your questions on Facebook. What is your most memorable or exciting moment as A's broadcasters? Ray, you've had more than I have.
Now wait a minute. You're going to ask the questions. You answer this first.
I will. The Dallas Braden perfect game was my favorite, just because it's a chance to do something special as a broadcaster.
But when did you know there's a possibility?
I remember it just being kind of a lazy Sunday. I mean, we were just going, and it was a nice game, but I'm always aware of the no-hitter thing. So you start looking at it around the 5th or 6th inning, but then you do glance down at your card and you realize that everything's in order.
It's right. It's that perfection.
Yep. So that was probably the best single game, but it was really probably just as far as just having fun. It was the final 3 games of the 2012 season when there just didn't seem to be any chance that the A's were going to lose.
Well,
that was fun.
And you're right about that, because, and by the way, the perfect game was against the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, they've had a horrible streak of no-hitters and perfect games thrown against them, and that Mother's Day in 2010 was on a day in which the Tampa Bay Rays were here. Stephen Vogt hit it, but I agree with you on both parts, because the perfect game, I'll be honest with you, there were a lot of things that happened. Kevin Kuzminoff made a couple of very good plays at third base. Gabe Kapler had a 12-pitch at bat.
Geyer hustling over toward the line, and Geyer has it.
Gabe Kapler made the final out. And the most amazing thing was that Dallas Braden thought the count was 2-2 until they heard Ken Korach on the replay saying, here's the 3-1. He goes, that's not right. But those final 3 games, I think for us to do the Monday night game against the Rangers for the A's to clinch the wild card, have the celebration in the clubhouse, the unbelievable come from behind season, and then 2 days later celebrate again in the same clubhouse with a division winning team. So they were, I would say, satisfied. But remember Chip Hale, then the bench coach of the A's, and I asked the skipper, are they going to be ready for tomorrow? And his skipper said Chip Hale will make sure they are ready to play tomorrow night, which would have been Tuesday, won that game. And never forget the series finale here in an improbable season in which that man was told, you're not going to win. You just don't have the team to win. And everybody in baseball said you're not going to win. And took them to the final day of the season, and they won. And we're in first place. One day of the season only, the final day, which is the most important. So I agree, those two. And I'd say that there's nothing better than a perfect game and a clincher. Yep. And we've had the opportunity with the perfect game, and the clincher's on top of it.
A little bit high. 3-1 to Smolinski.
Probably been a few more sad games and seeing results of division winning 5th games that just did not come to pass.
Nice play by Longoria. Spins around, throws in time. So both pitchers, Ray, 6 up, 6 down. I'm just saying. CSN California is brought to you by AAA. Get a free A's cap with a new AAA membership. Visit a participating AAA branch by August 30th. Restrictions apply. First pitch, top of the 3rd to Tim Beckham. A little bit outside. Beckham, Kiermaier, and Luke Maile. That one in for a strike. 1-1 the count. 3 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Sean Manaea. Manaea at 92 miles an hour. Beckham went 2 for 4 with a home run last night. Scored a couple of runs. This one is foul. His first 2 at bats, he homered and singled, and that gave him 8 straight at bats with a hit. But then he was retired his last 2 at bats. That one off the end of the bat. This was his first at bat last night.
Yeah, pretty good pitch to hit. He did not miss it. 3-1. Belt high, and Sonnegrain said, give me another baseball. I think he had a pretty good idea that it was raining in Chicago in the 7th inning, and Beckham hit a home run.
Batting ninth, the
No
catcher.
doubter.
Beckham chases that ball down and in, and that is strikeout number 4. Time now for the Geico quote of the game.
Now
Sonny
batting,
Gray on his struggles this
center fielder,
season. Sonny
Kevin
said, quote,
Kiermaier.
"It's obviously been tough mentally from the time it started. Before tonight, there was a few positives in a row, and then you take a giant step back. It is tough mentally sometimes. You just need to continue to battle through it." Ray, we talked a little bit about that in the post-game show last night about really any pitcher or hitter who's struggling, but maybe even more so with the younger guy. You worry about the confidence a little bit.
Well, he is clean shaven today. He was, I don't know, he maybe went a couple of weeks without shaving. Last night, just a tough night for him, and I think simplified. One mistake, he didn't, just doesn't. You know, you can see a pitcher make a mistake and get away with it. Sonny Gray just seems to has not been able to get away with any mistake that he's made.
A little bit outside, 1-2. Kiermaier at 220 with 5 home runs. Kiermaier trying to get rolling after coming off the disabled list. He's 2 for 18 since coming back. He broke his hand, didn't he? Diving for a ball.
Yeah, he did. And it's
There's wrist area.
as Kevin Cash's manager said, those are the guy that they lost in Kiermaier. Just what he can do defensively and what he means to the ball club. And they've had several injuries, and just enough to put them in a hole, big hole.
Now here's the injury. Oh,
See the
man.
left hand?
Hey.
That's not good. Watch
Nope,
the left hand.
that's not
Oh,
good.
it's
tough to look at.
yeah.
And that one's on the outside corner. Strike 3 call, and Minaya is rolling along. 5 strikeouts now.
But the interesting thing, watch the hitter. Kevin Kiermaier, I think before maybe Joe West grunted that it was a strike, but Kiermaier just headed back. He's halfway to the dugout before Big Joe finally put up the right hand. Hitters know it. Maybe look for a certain pitch, and here comes the fastball.
So with 2 outs, Luke Maile, the catcher, steps in. Maile at 278. Couple of RBIs. 5 hits and 18 at bats. He's brought up from the minor leagues recently. Replacing Hank Conger, who, as we talked about last night, Conger had all kinds of trouble defensively, especially throwing runners out. In Maile's case, he was ranked as the best defensive catcher in the Rays system by Baseball America, so that kind of tells you something. So Sean Manaea has 9 up and 9 down so far tonight. Bottom of the 3rd coming up. Alonso's going to lead it off. Coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Active players who made their major league debut before the Rays were established. How about that? Alex Rodriguez in 1994, Bartolo Colon in 1997, David Ortiz in 1997. Of course, the Rays were an expansion team in 1998. They came in with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So 19th year as a franchise for the Tampa Bay Rays. They used to be the Devil Rays.
Right. They dropped the Devil and started winning. But Kevin Cash, their manager, still the youngest in baseball at 38. That is the Devil Ray. You see it out in the aquarium they have in right center field at the Trop.
Alonso underneath one.
But Kevin Cash, as the youngest manager in baseball, last year had 28 players in baseball older than him. They were playing and he was managing. Second season and 5th manager in Rays history.
Their first, Larry
Rothschild.
Rothschild. How about that? Joe Madden was there for a long time, 9 years. Lou Piniella was there for 3.
Al McRae.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lou, as a matter of fact, was traded for a player.
That's right, Randy Wynn.
Randy Wynn was sent to Seattle for the manager, just like Manny Sanguillen.
For Chuck Tanner?
Chuck Tanner with the A's, that's right.
The Rays went the first 10 seasons without having a winning year. Mr. Ratus making a nice play. And the problem is you're always compared to the team you come into the league with. And the Diamondbacks won a World Series in their 4th year. Won it all. The Rays didn't even have a winning season in their first 10. That's just the way it is.
Do you want to compare payrolls?
No.
Because the Diamondbacks spent some money, and they're still spending some money, and
Now
one of the
batting,
biggest,
third baseman,
highest priced players on the disabled list is Zach Greinke.
So here's Ryan Healy. No hits in the game yet. Ryan Healy is 6 for 24 with a homer and 6 RBIs. Fastball from Odorizzi is high. ...2008 was the first time the Rays made it to the postseason. They went all the way to the World Series last year. They lost to that year they lost to the Phillies in 08.
Remember all the rain? What they
right,
waited a couple of days before they could play because of the rain.
So rain becomes an issue, even though one of the teams that's playing in the World Series plays in a dome.
And I can think of twice that the A's were in St. Petersburg, and you say, well, you're not getting rained out. Well, how about a hurricane coming in?
We got out of there, remember?
You have to leave before the hurricane because you may not be able to get out if that happens. And so the A's had a couple of rare Sundays off because of it.
That's right. And that was just what was it, maybe 2-3 years ago when we got out of there early, and right as our plane took off from the airport, it started raining.
Yeah.
So
right.
we were glad to get out of there. 3-2 now to Ryan Healy. And that one is tomahawked foul. So 3-2 the count to the rookie third baseman for the A's. On the ground toward third. Longoria, pretty smooth over there.
Tomorrow's your chance to meet Danny Valencia. Danny will be signing autographs at the Xfinity store at 4104 Grafton Street in Dublin from 11 a.m. till noon. This opportunity is limited to the first 150 fans, so be sure to arrive early. Danny Valencia tomorrow signing autographs.
So with 2 outs, Alcantara will step in. There's Mendy Alcantara playing shortstop tonight. Brought up on Wednesday and was in the lineup on Wednesday.
Had been hitting great at AAA, and one of the reasons he was called up. That helps.
Shoots that one into left field, and that's the first hit of the game for either team.
Now show your speed, steals second, and score on a base hit by Coco. Fastball away, just went with it.
Now batting, left fielder, Coco.
He was swinging through some pitches on Wednesday in the game they played against the Houston Astros, and he kept looking at his bat like it had a hole in it or something, and just kept missing pitches. So good sign there to get on base. First hit, first base runner for either club.
So with 2 outs, Alcantara, a terrific base stealer. See if he tries to get into scoring position. Coco Crisp, and here's a reason why he probably should go. Coco Crisp is hitting .423 with runners in scoring position. That's the best average in the major league.
So let him run.
Yep.
Coco's trying to let him run by taking a first pitch fastball down the middle.
Coco grounded out to the pitcher in the first inning. There he goes. Bailey's throw, and they got him. Tagged him somewhere on the back. Maile showed off a very, very strong arm, and he throws out Alcantara to end the bottom of the 3rd.
A's fans,
Let's see
it's time for the
if they got
Oakland
it.
Zoo Lucky
Did he tag
Road
him?
giveaway.
In the back,
Stopper
and
is
he was
making
out.
his way around the
No
stadium
question.
now.
So,
If you're
scoreless
sitting in
after
section-
3 from the Coliseum. (0-0) top of the 4th, in the top of the order for the Rays. So far, Manaea has not allowed a hit, and he has 5 strikeouts. 4 swinging, 1 looking. Inside corner strike. Forced that to hit a fly ball to center field in the 1st. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, one thing about Sean Manaea, Stephen Vogt, not afraid to put down sliders, change-ups, especially in hitters counts, and a lot of confidence in the young man to throw those off-speed pitches. That's a changeup right there, and see how good it is. See how good the next one is.
That relief appearance by Manaea, he threw 69 pitches. It was on the 17th, which was Sunday. And he went around, says Joe West. Strikeout number 6. Time now for another Facebook question.
Now batting.
We appreciate this one. Bert Reedsmith says, "Good Glenn, is your broken Sonny Gray gnome still in your backyard?" It is, and I fixed him and I put him right next to the new Sonny Gray gnome, and there they are.
So which is the bad one?
Well, let's look at the one on the right. You can see his neck is, you can see the crack, super glued it, put his head back on. See the crack in his neck on the right there? See it? Right there. Yeah.
Is that it there?
Yeah, see?
Oh.
It's super glued. So the head's back on comfortably and strong, stronger than ever. And now,
well, super glue will do that.
now he's got a friend, and
Well,
they'll both sit there and stare at you.
Let's
if you're
go
in the
back to it again,
in
because
my
I
backyard.
noticed something about maybe
Now batting.
he super glued the head
Third
crooked.
baseman,
Let's see it
Evan
again.
What's that?
See, this is more straight, and this was kind of looking, you know,
Yeah, well,
one's looking a different. Or
the Sonny on the right, whose head fell off, he took a little bit of a beating.
I was going to say he's kind of tilted his head a little bit.
Yeah, the one on the left looks much fresher. His
Yeah.
head is tilted a little bit. A little
Yeah,
extra
I think-
super glue on one side. But you know what? He's back. He's healthy. He's alive.
Is he bright and shining?
Well, the baseball, it still lights up, but it's kind of a dull light. Whereas the new Sonny, it's very bright. Bright, lights up the whole
Boy, you have
backyard.
Ryan Doe who relieves Sonny at times.
Yeah, get me that. So we appreciate your concern over the Sonny gnome. His head is back on, and he's comfortable.
Well, that's nice to know, and maybe that will be just enough to bring that crooked one out and see how Sonny pitches the next time he.
You know what? Maybe bring them both out. You're right. Maybe good luck. But they're pretty comfortable in my backyard. They have a couple spots where they hang out.
Just looking at each other all day, huh?
They just stare at each other. Yeah. If I go out there and they're in a different spot, then I'm really kind of creeped out, because they're usually in the same spot. Sean Manaea, 12 up, 12 down. Got something going. No score going to the bottom of the 4th. My partner, Ray Fosse, who was the toughest pitcher you ever faced?
Those guys were easy. Catfish and Raleigh. At least if they hit you, they didn't hurt. Well, they hurt you, but I would have to say Nolan Ryan. Just simply because anybody that grunts when he throws a baseball scares you to death just thinking about it. So Nolan would have to go down as the most difficult, the scariest. And if he hit you, he definitely would hurt you. Unfortunately, I never had to get a bow tie from him, which is one, as you would look at a person wearing a bow tie, that's kind of where he threw it. So Nolan Ryan would be my call.
Now batting, right fielder, Josh Reddick.
So 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Both pitchers extremely sharp. Odorizzi has allowed just 1 hit. Sean Manaea has not allowed a hit. Reddick grounds that one toward Forsythe, and he throws him out. All right, this was a good question. We kicked this one around a little bit. If the first batter of the game pops a foul ball in foul territory and the player drops the ball and is given an error, then the pitcher retires him and the next 26 batters in a row. Is it still a perfect game, even though an error was assigned, but no one reached base? And you know, we kicked it around and we went to David Feldman, who's one of the official scorers here at the Coliseum and also has a very, very good handle on the rule book. And he said it would be a perfect game for the pitcher. But since it's never happened, it is possible that in the record books there could be an asterisk next to it and saying that it was an error. But the pitcher would get credit for a perfect game.
Even though there's a 1 in the error column.
Yep. They still face the minimum batters, and we kind of chuckled about it as we talked to David about it, because the point was is it's actually better than a perfect game because he really retired 28 guys.
That's right.
He retired the 1 guy twice, but ball was dropped. So good question. It made us put our thinking caps on. Davis drops one down the right field line. So a 2-out single for Chris Davis.
Well, we just talked recently about
Now batting,
the great Bambino, Babe
Stephen
Ruth, as a
Vogt.
pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. Fastball away that Chris Davis just flipped down the right field line. Of course, Souza plays a very shallow outfield, got this ball very quickly, and as a result, Chris Davis could only get to first base. But Babe Ruth started the game, walked the first batter, upset with the umpire, was ejected. Ernie Shore came in. The runner at first was thrown out at second. 26 retired consecutive. It was at one time considered a perfect game, but changed to a no-hitter. Yeah. But unlike that, what did you say that it's called an imperfect perfect game?
Imperfect perfect game.
Which there's never been
but
one.
There's never been one, so there's really kind of nothing to go back on.
I mean, what are the odds the first hit of the game, foul ball, and it's dropped? Well, in the Sunfield here at the Coliseum, in the foul territory.
With a lot of foul territory.
Certain official scorers could have a guy run for a mile and touch the ball and give him an error. So, possible.
This would probably be the most likely place for it to happen.
That's right.
Because of all the foul territory and the day game, it can be tough.
But that's a good question.
That
All the years of baseball, and yet something like that's never happened.
Richard Costa, we appreciate it.
Well, if he's been wondering about that a long time, then glad he sent the question in.
Yep. And he did the best with a little help from David Feldman. Thank you, David. One and 2 to Vogt. Then a quick throw at Davis. So 2 hits now for the A's.
And both hits to the opposite field. One by Alcantara last inning. Caught stealing by that young man. Made a very strong throwing arm to second base.
Yeah, we were impressed. First look at Luke Maile in this series. pulls that one. Forsythe, what a play. Throws to second, and Beckham is there, and they got him. Heck of a play by Logan Forsythe, ranging far to his right. Hitting a runner left, and we're scoreless after 4. On CSN California is brought to you by your Bay Area Hyundai dealers. Great deals on amazing cars are going on now at your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com today. Mark at the Park. That gentleman enjoying the ball game with his friend. Right now, Sean Manaea is the story. No score, top of the 5th. Sean Manaea has not allowed a hit, and he has 6 strikeouts through the first 4 innings. 53 pitches. Pierce pulled off that one.
Changeup is excellent again, and one of the better pitches Sean Manaea has thrown in his short time at the major league level. Good hard slide to the back foot of the right-handers, away from the lefties.
This one's popped up toward right field, where Reddick is right there. So 1 away here in the 5th inning. A little more on the Sean Manaea changeup before the DL and after the DL. Using it more, very interesting. And you wonder if that had anything to do with the disabled, or who knows, maybe Kurt Young said, hey, let's start using this thing a little bit more. But using it more, and it's working. So that generally goes hand in hand. One out for Steven Souza. Over the mound, right to Lowry. And Lowry throws out the speedy Souza for the 2nd out.
Earlier today, the A's hosted the inaugural Fitness Sluggers Day Field Day, presented by Sutter Health for children from Richmond YMCA. The clinic was led by trainers from Perform for Life. Featured a variety of activity stations to encourage children to get outside and play. A's pitcher Liam Hendricks joined the children at today's events, which is part of the Fitness Sluggers program that aims to educate and encourage local youth to live healthy and active lifestyles. Thanks to Sutter Health for partnering with the A's on this exceptional new program.
So 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. That's not mine, is it?
You're looking for the super glue, trying to turn the light on.
Well, if anything happens, if I can fix it for him. I've done it. So there's the first hit. Corey Dickerson rolls one into right field.
A hanging slider to the lefty, and wanted to get it away from him, but left it enough as he was opening up.
Now batting, shortstop,
If you get it past Alonso diving at first base, you've done quite a job. And just to the right of the diving Alonso, could not get it. Hit hard. And usually hanging sliders are hit hard. That one was.
So here's Tim Beckham. Beckham takes just a little bit low. Beckham struck out swinging in the third. Missed again, 2-0.
Well, Ray's seeing him pitch out of the stretch for the first time, and don't figure it's a major adjustment, but when a pitcher, especially a starter, starts the game, does not have to go to the stretch, got to get somebody on base, it does make a difference. And go back to the Hall of Famer Greg Maddux, who always took his 8 warm-up tosses but pitched out of the stretch most of the times, simply saying their most difficult times are out of the stretch.
It certainly makes sense.
It does. And you know, pitchers a lot of times will wind up and make their pitches. And so is Maddux, and he knew what he was doing. 351 career games that he won. Gold Glove almost every year, Cy Young Award. Figure winning that much, he's not going to have many times when he had to pitch out of the stretch. But he was prepared when it happened.
But you think about in Manaya's case, what, the first 56, 57
That's
pitches he threw all out of the windup.
Yeah.
So that's a big change. Grounded toward Lowry. Lowry dives, gets up, throws to first. Not in time. Kerwin Danley waited just a second.
And they're going to take a look at it. And of course, Beckham jumping in the bag right at the last instant. Jed Lowry got up quickly, made a throw, and definitely hit the front of the bag. And that's why Kerwin Danley called him safe right there. Foot on the bag. And let's try to get the next hitter.
So good call by Kerwin Danley.
Now batting, center fielder.
So now 2 on 2 out. Here's Kiermaier. Kiermaier struck out looking in the third. Slider is inside to Kiermaier. Dickerson at second and Beckham at first. Dickerson not really being held on, so he will be able to get a very good jump. Good ball game going on tonight down in Houston. The Astros leading the Angels 2-1 in the top of the 9th inning. Astros trying to close it out. Angels rallying. Swing and a miss. Kiermaier way out front, chased it.
That's the side he wanted to throw Dickerson, but left it middle part of the plate in. That's the difference right there. The Angels game and a half ahead of the Athletics, but it's the Astros pulling close. In fact, the Rangers have played a few more games than the Astros have.
Kiermaier almost chased that one, but he was able to hold up. Yeah, the Royals beat the Rangers 3-1 tonight. Struggles continue for Texas.
Yeah, he definitely held up. He started, but almost went through with the bad hit, but not enough.
Slowly hit, and that one is going to stay fair, and Alonso was able to tag him.
Quick tag.
So a nice play by Yonder Alonso, and that's how the top of the 5th comes to an end. So a couple of Rays stranded. We're going to the bottom of the 5th, still 0-0.
Friday, August the 5th, that features a great matchup against the Chicago Cubs. Everyone that purchases a special ticket for this event will receive an exclusive A's Italian Heritage hat, as well as entry into the pregame party in the Eastside Club. To purchase tickets or for more information, visit athletics.com/Italian or call 510-638-GO-A's. Italian night.
Lowry, Smolinski, and Alonso. Bounce toward first. Pierce has it. And Odorizzi makes a nice play, and that's the first down. Next Facebook question is from Justin, who says, what are your thoughts on how defensive shifts are impacting the game? Are you surprised that many major league batters have not done more to beat the shift?
Fan says 86. That's pretty impressive. I think it's changed the game dramatically. I think there are a lot of hitters who, especially, there's your shift right there to the left side. That's against Jake Smolinski. They're expecting him to pull the ball on the ground. Outfield is straight away. So there's a base hit over the shift. But I think the impact, and I think in the future, and I don't know how you would look at the way hitters will approach. And my feeling is that if you hit 30+ home runs a year, that's great. But that also remains a lot of plate appearances that you make. And if you're an everyday player, 550, 600 plate appearances, and you hit 30, 40 home runs, my feeling is you always have a lot of at-bats remaining. Now, if you have a runner at second and they're shifting and you got a chance to drive in a run, or you try to hit a home run, or go against the shift and get a base hit driving the run. I think we're seeing more and more where hitters will attempt to try to beat the shift, especially in either 2-strike counts or RBI situations. It just seems that they're trying to do that more.
And I think the original thought, or the initial thought, when you think about beating the shift, it's a left-handed hitter bunting.
Yeah.
But there's more ways to do it than just, you know, the bunt, which you see occasionally, not very often. I think guys could do it a little bit more. But what is interesting to me is what will happen now in the next couple years. What will hitters do? Will it start to balance out a little bit where hitters start to do some things to beat the shift? Hard hit ball and a tailor-made 4-6-3 double play. No shift needed there. No score as we go to the 6th.
Cubs at Saturday, August the 6th. 15,000 fans will go home with a retro Billy Ball 3/4 sleeve baseball tee presented by Cache Creek Casino Resort. In addition, the A's will be wearing throwback uniforms that pay homage to the 1981 Billy Martin team that advanced to the 1981 ALCS. Get tickets today at athletics.com.
And Alonso with another nice play at first as the throw was high from Alcantara.
Well, we know Alonso, and if he wins a Gold Glove, he deserves it. Plays like this help is the runner coming down the line mainly, and just a throw, an easy routine play, and he just kind of guided it to first base and up the line. But Alonso catching the ball, making a quick tag. Mainly not able to avoid the tag, so a nice play by Yonder Alonso again. Nice play to last inning with Kiermaier up the line.
Now here's the leadoff man, Logan Forsythe. No score in the top of the 6th inning.
They say about Yonder Alonso, how many errors he saves, infielders, and how many runs he saves, actually. And did it again there as he took base hit away from Kiermaier last inning and an error. Alcantara, the leadoff hitter in this inning.
Swing and a miss. Good fastball there. 93 miles an hour with some late life. Young John Lester fan. At that age, as long as they're a baseball fan.
Yeah. What if he throws left-handed?
Fouled straight back.
Seems like Manaea, and this is Stephen Vogt, where he does his best in the rest of the game plan, but yet you also watch hitters and how they swing. A lot of the hitters, see the number of fastballs he's thrown, but the changeup, the slider, a large percentage of those two pitches. There's another
That's a good
slider.
one.
Yeah. But last at bat, Forsythe got a fastball that he swung late. This time a slider down and in. So Stephen Vogt mixing up the pitches from his left-hander. And again, you watch the swing geared fastball. Here comes the slider. Looking slider, throw him a fastball.
So it's all working tonight for Manaea. He faces Brandon Guyer. Guyer tried to hold up. It's a strike. Guyer is grounded to short. He has grounded to second. So Guyer now 0 for 6 in the series. Has not had a high pitch count inning. Even the 5th. And a couple of hits by the Rays, but still just 15 pitches in the 5th. Only 8 here in the 6th. That one lined right over top of the Rays dugout.
Think he wasn't looking slider. That fastball swing. Manaea's best start was against the Astros in Houston. The Sunday before the All-Star break. 7 innings, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, and no walks. And unfortunately, when he left the game, had the lead, the bullpen could not hang on.
Another one past the dugout. Manaea has allowed 2 hits. Dickerson and Beckham singled in the 5th. Over the head of Manaea, and that's going to be a base hit. Not a lot you can do about that. Guyer runs well. So it's an infield hit.
You're right. Once Manaea tried to get it, could not. At that point, just put the ball in your pocket.
So here's Longoria. He was 1 for 4 last night with an RBI single. Tonight a strikeout and a foul out to first.
just a little bit low, but a good pitch from Manaea. Longoria leads the team with 22 home runs. He is their most dangerous hitter. Outfield plays him deep and straight away. Fastball at 94 miles an hour.
The thing about Longoria is very quick with his bat, and see his stance here really does not move a lot until the pitch is on its way, and it generates a tremendous amount of bat speed.
Healy grabs it, fires to second, and they got him, and that will do it for the Rays in the top of the 6th. The hit and a runner left. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Coco Crisp, a walk-off single against the Yankees in the 12th inning, and that completed a 4-game sweep. It was the first since the team moved to Oakland in 1968. The win came in the 12th inning, and they were celebrating. Why not? So, Coco Crisp, home runs and RBIs against the AL East in his career. So that was an exciting weekend of baseball, if I remember correctly. Kind of was.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Kind of when I think we all started to kind of look at each other and go, "Wow, they're playing pretty darn good." Yeah. Because they're. So then, you know, 3 months into the season and they were playing well, but I think everybody was like, "All right, we want to see a little more." And then they swept the Yankees, and you could tell that they had something going. Healy, Alcantara, and Crisp here in the bottom of the 6th inning. No score. Odorizzi and Manaea hooked up in a very good pitcher's duel.
Defensive play of the night might have been a play made by Healy near the A's dugout. A foul ball. And think about the ball of the weekend that he and Marcus Semien, who has the night off, collided. So he's experienced the sun field, the foul territory at the Coliseum, and playing very well defensively, not to mention swinging the bat well. They're shifting already. It's amazing.
2-2 now to Healy. Shift is on to Pole in the infield to hit the ball the other way in the outfield. And that one fouled just to our right. Yeah. Bounces off the facing of the visiting radio booth.
Andy and Dave in that booth. 12 years on the broadcast team for the Tampa Bay Rays. On the radio. Inseparable.
A little bit inside, 3-2. Well, we're together a lot, but I wouldn't say we're inseparable.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean? I like hanging out with you, but
yeah, Andy told me those two guys, man, they are talking in the wintertime all the time. But that.
So Healy strikes out. Just the third strikeout for Odorizzi.
Fried on your left. And Wells on the right. Yeah. 12 years together, and they both auditioned together for the Rays and got the job the same year. They get the manager show together. They eat their dinner together. They talk together all the time, so they're together a lot.
One out for Alcantara.
Well, a few curveballs thrown by Odorizzi tonight. Remember Odorizzi, when he pitched against the A's back in mid-May, gave up 3 home runs to the Athletics. He'd only given up 3 all together in 7 starts prior to the start he made against the A's. But 44 pitches in the first inning will set a bad tone for you, and it did definitely for Odorizzi in that game.
So a quick 0-2 to here's Mendy Alcantara. Foul straight back to the screen. 67 pitches for Odorizzi, so very low pitch count.
Now both pitchers doing exactly what you should do, attacking the strike zone, pitching to contact in most cases, and good defensive plays behind them.
And a high fastball, and he strikes out. So 2 outs. The public address announcer tonight here at the Coliseum is our old friend Chris Townsend.
Chris.
Uncle Townie, as he's known, of course, on the radio. Does a terrific job on 95.7 The Game, so you probably heard his voice many, many times. Well, that's what he looks like.
Well, he was on with Greg Papa this afternoon. He did the pregame show on the A's radio.
Yeah.
He does the PA announcing tonight. He'll do postgame radio tonight. He's a busy man.
He is. Yes, he is.
I was listening to he and Greg talk today about, I guess Chris had been asked to do the job tonight. Papa said, yes, do it. Take it right now.
Fun.
Yeah.
Easy for us to say. 3 up, 3 down inning for Odorizzi. We're breezing along. 7th inning coming up. 0-0 game. A's and the Rays.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
Here's our Ford right choice. Sean Manaea has been terrific. In fact, he did not give up a hit. There were 2 outs in the 5th inning when Corey Dickerson got a base hit to right field. So he's got 7 strikeouts through 6 innings. So Sean Manaea, he's our Ford right choice so far.
Great job with it. Ray.
He goes back to work here in the 7th. First pitch to Steve Pearce. Swing and a miss. Strikeout and a fly ball to right field for Pearce. Pearce has good power, 10 home runs. He's got 10 home runs in 185 at bats.
I think we're going to see the same smile on the face of Stephen Vogt tonight as we saw with Stephen when he caught Jesse Hahn on Memorial Day last year. And, you know, this is a fun time for a catcher. You could throw down any of the signs, get results the way Sean Manaea is getting them tonight. That's a lot of fun. And of course, Stephen Vogt, a member of the Tampa Bay Rays, twice he was ready to call it quits. Unless his wife convinced him to say nope, stick around. He's a 2-time All-Star. So congrats to Stephen Vogt, especially against a team that he once wore the same uniform.
And that one's drilled toward left center field, and that's a base hit. Smolinski cuts it off. So a leadoff single for Pearce here in the 7th inning. It's time now for another Facebook question. Wendy Nathan asks what is really it's a good strong baseball question. Is it difficult to transition from one league to the other for a player? It's interesting, right? Because some guys say yes, but then I've also had other guys say no, not really.
This guy said yes.
Yeah.
Remember, Alonso told us that it started to click for him whenever the A's went back to Milwaukee and Cincinnati, that road trip, or Cincinnati's original team. Kotsay did it from National League to the A's, the American League. I do remember one Hall of Fame pitcher, Gaylord Perry, when he was traded from the Giants to the Indians for the '72 season, the winter of '71. He simply told me, he says, I know nothing about the American League. I'll depend on you, my catcher, to tell me and to guide me through the season. And that's something you take a lot of pride in, you know, as a catcher. Before now, with all the video and the scouting reports. But from a position player, because there's so many interleague games, and you might see there's 20 interleague games a year now. So you're seeing teams from the other league, and maybe you'll see some pitchers, and the fact that so many players change teams. Then, you know, here's Dickerson from the Rockies to the Rays. But I think every season you have a core of players. You may have on a 25-man roster 10 to 12 players that are going to be there the next year and maybe every year. But if you multiply 30 times the remaining 12 to 15, that's a lot of players changing teams every year.
No question.
So I think with the overlap and pitchers changing leads, hitters changing leagues, maybe there's some familiarity where you're seeing the same guys. But to hear Yonder Alonso say it took him to face some National League teams, Parks back in Milwaukee and Cincinnati, for him to start to feel comfortable.
Bob Melvin played in both the American League and the National League, and managed
Yeah, exactly.
Tapped in the hole. Contra fires to second for one. Back to first. Not in time. Well, I think we would know the answer to how different is it to manage, because it is different to manage in
the two leagues for sure. Yeah.
Now batting, shortstop.
Doesn't mean it's better, worse, harder, easier, but it's a completely different situation managing.
It's Kevin Cash about that. And of course, we've talked about how difficult it is to manage and when to take out the starting pitcher. And I asked him about that, and he said, man, I've got about a 35-minute drive home from the home park. And he said, inevitably, I think, well, did I take him out too soon? Maybe one more batter. But it's something. But once you get in the bullpen, it's matchups, as we talked about that as well. It's much easier. Bring a lefty in to face the lefties, the righties to run. But a starting pitcher, Matt Moore last night went 7. Pitch count got him. It's out of the game. Turned it over to the bullpen. But if you're in the 4 to 7 inning range, to where you're saying take him out, bring in the bullpen, that's got to be tough regardless of the league. Although, look at Kendall Graveman pitching great against the Giants in San Francisco, taken out after 5 because of a pinch hitter and a close game. But handling a bullpen, starters, I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys, and really becomes a matter of setting up the game based on matchups and how you're going to bring relievers in.
2-0 pitch is tapped. Healy covering a lot of ground to his left, flips to second, side retired. So leadoff single, but nothing else. And we have reached the 7th inning stretch. No score. A's and the Rays. How it's really done.
What?
That's funny, Joe.
Oh, real
Joe's
funny.
trying to be funny. You know why? He's trying to get on our good side because he hasn't had us on his podcast.
I was going to say, that's about as weak as not asking us to be on a podcast.
No, I got news for you. That will never, ever happen.
Hey, I got news for you. It definitely will not happen. It's not that easy, Joe, even facing a coach throwing about 60 miles per hour.
The only time I would ever do that is if there was nobody in the ballpark.
Yeah. At the same time, you sing the national anthem, right?
Yes, yeah. Nobody around. And you know, the first time you swung, you'd hit it right off the end, and it would sting. Then you wouldn't really feel like hitting that much. But Joe, we appreciate you.
Yeah,
checking in, asking us
your
a
effort,
question.
Joe, and still haven't gotten the memo about a podcast interview.
No, you're not going to be on it all. And neither am I. 1-2 to Reddick. He's trying to get something going against Jake Odorizzi. Odorizzi has allowed 3 hits, 3 singles. He has struck out 4, and he has not walked anybody.
And his pitch count is extremely low considering.
Reddick, shallow left, hustling in is Geyer, and he caught it. So Reddick has a hit taken away. 1 away. Next question
Now ready for the Athletics. Designated hitter
comes from Justin.
Chris
What do you guys do during the
Davis.
offseason when the A's are not playing?
Well, what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing. Bringing my kids to school.
That's right.
Trying to help my wife out a little bit. I will say this, though. In a baseball season, I mean, you work a lot, right? There's a lot of games. Almost every day we're working. And it's very strange because you really do go from doing a baseball game every day, working every day, till when the season's over, the final out is made, you're done.
Yeah.
So you go from 100 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour. And that
Exactly.
takes a while to adjust. It
Yeah.
takes me a couple weeks to just kind of settle in.
Well, and the thing about what all sports are doing, it's not just baseball. You see it the other professional sports as well. It's a year-round sport. There's
enough to follow.
So much going on in the offseason that every day, every week, transactions, changing teams, and then they wait for the postseason awards. Of course, the World Series, all the postseason through October. Then they have the postseason awards in November. You get to Christmas. Next thing you know is January. Who's going to be on the roster? Winter meetings are there. I mean, everything is kind of planned so they make sure it's a year round. And that's why when you talk to the writers for the MLB, you talk to people who follow baseball, that they're writing every day, even during the offseason, and it makes it very difficult. But I'll be honest, I enjoy getting down to Arizona. I know Caroline get to Arizona. We have a couple of grandsons, Matthew and Joseph, who are playing baseball, so it gives up the opportunity because they start in early part of the year.
Perfect.
With the baseball team. So while we're getting ready for Arizona and spring training, then get to watch the boys play baseball.
So January, February, that's a good time for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then March too, for
because then
training.
you know the season's getting close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time, and
I find myself usually around January 15th, you start thinking about it a little bit, and then right at the end of January, start diving in a little bit, doing work, and then you're right before you know it, the games start and spring training starts. Things go quickly at that point.
And you will find that at one time, those young children you have will be off to college, and you're going to have that empty nest, and you're going to, oh wow,
what am I going to do now?
But
there's wait on that for a while.
Yeah, you've got a little while, and there's always something to do. But I think more than anything that it's just it's year round.
Yeah.
You know, the baseball players now, they may take a week to 2 weeks off. It's interesting as always to talk to players. How much time do you just get away from it? And then all of a sudden they're back at it again, working out and getting ready so they can spend the off season working on their business, which is playing the game of baseball.
Vogt hits one high in the air, shallow left. Geyer hustling in again, and it's going to be caught by Beckham. So Beckham said, I didn't hear you, buddy, but I caught it. 8th inning coming up. Surfing dogs are courtesy of Lucy Pets Foundation, which is auditioning dogs for their float in the 2017 Rose Parade. Their float will be the heaviest and longest Rose Bowl float ever. This is the Gnarly Crankin' K9 Wavemaker, the first mobile dog tank of its kind. The tank was at the Coliseum earlier today as part of this year's park. At the park, it's presented by Central Garden and Pet.
Yeah, I heard they were out in the parking lot. I was trying to get out to see them, but I just never made it out in time.
Well, they're practicing, getting ready for the float. Check it out.
That's unbelievable.
I wish they had one of those at like one of the hotels we stayed at, Ray. We could do that together.
Hang out together.
Yeah, well, we hang out together a little bit. Kiermaier with the leadoff single, so Manaea
Luke
Right back into the stretch.
Did you notice those dogs had life preservers on?
And I would have one on too. Starting to move around now in the A's bullpen. 96 pitches for Sean Manaea, and it's going to be Ryan Dull. Bunted, and it's bunted foul. Luke Maile trying to get the go-ahead run over to second base. Healy, the third baseman, in a couple steps onto the grass. Maile is going to square around, try to bunt again, and he does a good job. Manaea grabs it, throws in time. So he really deadened that one. You can see it. You bunt it right off the end of the bat. The ball just kind of gets out there and then stops. So that's a good bunt by Maile.
Now batting, second base.
And he did what you're supposed to do. You square around, tell the world, you know you're going to bunt. Let everybody know. Just get the ball down. He did. Squared around nicely and got the ball and deadened it on the grass. Manaea, good play. Taking the bare hand, the 360, and throwing to his first baseman, who happened to be Jed Lowry. A good play on both ends. Nice bunt, nice play by Manaea.
So tough out here. Logan Forsythe 0 for 3 tonight. 2 for 7 in the series. First pitch is away. Geyer will be next. And there's a drive, right center. Kokos or Smolinski on the move, and Smolinski makes the catch. And hustling back to tag up was Kiermaier, and he goes to third. But a nice play by Smolinski. He got a good jump on that one.
Well, the nice thing about Smolinski, the jump he got, but also just kind of watch his glove. That ball slicing away from him. He's got his glove in a position to catch it all the time. Just left it right there as the ball came into the glove. And nice play, concentrating the whole time. Kiermaier thinking, and then once he saw Smolinski get close to it, able to get back and tag where a mistake can score him. Good play. But you're right, Forsythe, and fourth time through the batting order for Manaea, starting with Forsythe and now Geyer. Geyer with the infield hit in his last at bat. And that same infield hit right now would play to run, and that's why Kiermaier going to third once he saw the ball was going to be caught.
Not close to Geyer. And Geyer, that hit was in the 6th inning. He has also grounded out to short and grounded out to second. Swing and a miss. There's the changeup at 85 miles an hour. 102 pitches for Manaea.
A good changeup after a fastball miss. Followed through, pitch out of the strike zone, and swinging over the pitch was Geyer. Fastball away.
Gordon Reddick. Reddick's under it. He's got it. Manaea gets out of the jam. So we're going to the bottom of the 8th. It's still a 0-0 game. 0-5-0 for the Rays, 0-3-0 for the Athletics. Odorizzi and Minaya both have been terrific tonight. Rays got their first hit with 2 outs into the 5th inning.
Now batting, second baseman.
So the last couple games, the A's offense has really struggled. Smolinski's home run really the only thing that they've done. Couple innings to go here, and Lowry is the first hitter, and he takes a strike.
You'd have to figure Minaya is finished, and bullpen is getting heated for the Athletics for the 9th inning. That's the A's score, which would be great for Sean Minaya, who again pitched great in Houston. 7 solid innings, shutout baseball. Great job in relief, 5 innings last Sunday, and then 8 innings tonight. Shutout baseball as Ryan Madson gets loose. So as they're saying in the dugout, score a run. Minaya deserves it. Got a nice ovation as he departed in the top of the 8th inning after getting enough leadoff single, a sacrifice, got the last 2 outs.
And the 2-1 pitch is a strike. So 2-2 to Lowry, who has hit a fly ball to left field, and he is grounded to first. Swing and a miss. Upstairs with a fastball. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. Hey, Know It All with Sportsnet Central. It's brought to you by Hyundai. It's tonight at 10:30, and it's on our sister station, CSN Bay Area. Charles Barkley talks about Kevin Durant and the Warriors, U.S. Olympic hoops versus Argentina, and the Surfing Dogs here in Oakland. We just saw them. That free David Feldman will host.
How do the dogs stay on the surfboard?
Balance. I think. A little flare by Smolinski. He'll take it. He's 2 for 3, and that is the go-ahead run here in the bottom of the 8th.
Now batting, first baseman, Yonder.
Well, unfortunately for the A's, the last hit was Smolinski. The base hit the left center, and the double play raised him, and Odorizzi has been spectacular. If there are any scouts in the stands watching tonight, Odorizzi has impressed them. So maybe the A's can do something. Yeah, with the 1 out in the 8th inning.
He's another name that's been out on the trade block. Here's Yonder Alonso. Pop out in a double play. And he chases the high pitch. Royals beat the Rangers tonight 3-1 in Kansas City. So that's 4 consecutive losses for the Rangers, and also they have lost 15 out of their last 19. So they are limping along. And the Astros beat the Angels 2-1. McCullers over Shoemaker. So Ray, the Astros are just 2.5 games out of first place in the American League West. How about that?
Well, the Astros are doing what the Rangers did to them last year.
That's right. Yep.
At this time, just got on a hot streak and ended up winning the division. We saw the Astros. The A's won the first 2, but Doug Fister won on Wednesday and back at it again.
The lefty Xavier Cedeno throwing. Smolinski runs, throw to second base is there, and they got it.
It's got to be a busted hit and run. That is pretty impressive. Matter of fact, it's very impressive. I would think somebody missed a sign, punter. Smolinski, looking back, that's an indication of a hit and run, no swing. Strike was called, and a strike to second base with Beckham applying the tag. That's a horrible feeling if you're looking back thinking it's a hit and run and you see no swing, and then you try to steal against Smitty, who's proven he can throw.
So 2 outs, nobody aboard. It's one of the better arms we've seen this year.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Luke Maile. Shallow center. Beckham out. Kiermaier in. And Kiermaier dropped it. Alonso's going to stay at first. I say he dropped it, but in fairness, that was not an easy play, and there seemed to be a little hesitation.
Well, as we say, and then the confusion with Geyer coming in last inning, catching the ball that Beckham did. This time Beckham goes out, and he must have heard the center fielder Kiermaier call him off, and he backed off. Kiermaier stopped in his tracks, hit him in the heel of the glove as he tried to basket catch and could not handle it. Under Alonso. I don't know that he's going to get a second anyway.
So it's an error. First error in the series by the Rays. And here's Healy. Good block there by Mahle.
Mahle may be the next Pudge Rodriguez when it comes to throwing out base runners, and this is a play that you don't even think about trying to advance. I mean, good block by Mahle, keeping the ball in front of him, but nobody say, hey, I'll take a chance, 2 outs, but with his gun behind the plate, I think he's got to keep a few guys on the bases.
Two and 0 now to Healy.
So Valencia and Marcus Semien both getting a bat. Either one started. Alcantara's at bat. Position comes up next if Healy can keep the inning going. Got a base hit to right field. Right center again.
Left center on the move, and they're not going to get it. Alonso's going to go to third. He'll stop there. So first and third, 2 outs. And it looks like it's going to be Danny Valencia.
Well, Sean and I are hoping that a run can score. Fastball got out of the hands a little bit, but enough in left center that Geyer, playing a little bit deeper than what he normally does, thought about going after it, decided against it. Right there, he's thinking yes, no, and better take it on the hop instead of maybe deflecting the ball away.
Your attention, please. Pitch hitting, Danny Valencia.
So it'll be Valencia with first and third, 2 outs here in the 8th inning. So he's hitting for Alcantara. Valencia is 2 for 8 in his career against Odorizzi, and one of those hits is a home run.
This is that shift catch we're talking about. Valencia could very easily think about hitting the ball to right field. Not with that swing, though.
He's thinking about hitting a 3-run homer,
which he doesn't need it. And I mean, this is a point right here that we talked about with the shifts and the question we got. They're shifting him to left side. I mean, dramatically on the third and shortstop with the second baseman a little bit closer to second. Look at the right side of the infield with the first baseman holding Healy.
So chase that one, and it's 0-2. Valencia this year against the Rays, he's 8 for 16 with 5 home runs. Of course, he had that huge series down in St. Petersburg. Right now, he just needs a flare.
Yeah.
Odorizzi, his pitch is high.
They'd have to think any fastball be a waste pitch, and ultimately going back to one of his many off-speed pitches, including a cutter, slider, curve, splitter. Right now, the A's would take a ball in the dirt and get it away from Mahle.
Another high fastball, 94 miles an hour. So 2-2 the count. Pitch number 99 coming up for Odorizzi. Again, a high fastball.
Well, all fastballs, Cappy, you have to think. The first curveball they throw, and then it gets quickly down 0-2 with breaking pitches. And it's a question, does he give in to him? And I don't think he will, but it's one of those things where you prepare for anything as a hitter, especially on the 3-2.
Runner goes, and it's popped up. Maile may have a play. He will, and he has it. So Odorizzi gets out of it, and a couple of runners stranded by the Athletics. 9th inning coming up.
A's Baseball on CSN California is brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience TV.
9th inning, no score. 0-5-1 for the Rays, 0-5-0 for the A's. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. It's your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. So Ryan Madson comes in, taking over for Sean Manaea, who was sensational.
A career high 8 innings to 106 pitches in the game in Houston in 7 innings, but tonight spectacular. Marcus Semien takes over at shortstop with Danny Valencia popping up on a 3-2 curveball with first and third.
2-0 to Longoria. Pierce to follow, and then Souza. Missed again. 3-0. Not missing by a lot. And it's high. A 4-pitch walk to open up the top of the 9th. Well, join us tonight on the A's Postgame Live. It's the A-Team. Vince, Ken, Ray, and myself will get together, have that unscripted roundtable discussion about tonight's game. It's only on A's Postgame Live at 95.7 The Game after the game. So we do that every Friday night home game.
Glad you reminded me. I forgot it was Friday.
Did you forget?
Well, it was Friday.
When you have a 4-game series and it starts on Thursday night, it always Thursday night game screws you up.
10-game homestand and all the night games, and night game tomorrow night for the spectacular fireworks show. Dale in the Green concerts here. Can't wait for Michael Zagaris to come out and take photographs.
Is he here tonight? 1-1 the count to Pierce. Pierce strikeout, fly ball to right, and a single. So that walk by Longoria, the first walk the A's have issued.
Three consecutive appearances by Sean Manaea without a walk. 17 strikeouts, no walks in the 7 innings in Houston, the 5 in relief Sunday, and the 8 innings tonight.
Missed somewhere. Looks like a pretty good pitch.
I'd say it looked too good.
Ryan Madson doesn't react too much on the mound, but he stood and stared in that time.
That's a two-seamer outside corner. Can't believe it. Make a pitch like that and don't get the call.
So the count 2-1 instead of 1-2. Quick throw to first. Longoria dives back. Souza waits in the on deck circle. Hit hard. Simeon picks it up, throws to second, on to first, and that's a double play. Hard hit ball, and Simeon stayed with it. And luckily, when it bounced away from him, it rolled toward second base.
Well, it's going that direction. Hit him hard off his chest. Do a flip of the glove. And still plenty of time for Jed Lowrie to make the turn. Ball came up on Simeon, but a nice recovery and a nice flip with just his glove.
So with 2 outs now, here's Souza. Souza a strikeout, a ground out, and a line out to short. Just 10 total hits in the game, 5 by each team. Colomé is the right-hander. He is the closer. Swing and a miss. Bottom of the 9th, the A's will have the top of their order. Crisp, Reddick, and Davis. Red Sox lost tonight. The Orioles won, so they flip-flop for the top spot in the East. Blue Jays lost, so the Blue Jays lose a half a game. So the Yankees won. That's a good race. Good one to keep an eye on.
Rays are disappointed. They're not in the middle of that Eastern Division race, which they usually are.
So the Yankees are starting to play better, but then they have the guys that people want.
Well, they
have to try to figure out.
That's right. I find it very hard to believe that the Yankees would do anything except buy. Except in the offseason, they did.
Strike 3 call. So Souza strikes out, and we are headed to the bottom of the 9th inning. Coco to lead it off. We're looking for a run, and we're looking to head home.
So bottom of the 9th inning, 0-0. The A's and the Rays. How about that?
Now batting.
Park at the park tonight.
Coco Crisp.
That one looks a little sleepy. So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. Your oil change, tune-up, and smog experts. The left-hander Xavier Cedeno comes in. He pitched last night, but threw just 7 pitches. He'll face Crisp, Reddick, and Davis. First pitch is inside. So Jake Odorizzi was very good. 8 innings, just 5 hits and no runs. Coco bounces one right back to Cedeno, who reaches up and grabs it and then underhands it to first. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th, and here comes Reddick.
Right fielder, Josh Reddick.
Reddick does not have a home run this year against a left-handed pitcher, so this would not be a terrible time for that to happen.
I think it would be a wonderful time.
Exactly.
I think the A's would think it would be. Sean Manaea would enjoy it. I mean, take 2 starting pitchers, pitch as well as Manaea and Odorizzi did tonight.
Neither of them walked a batter. That's a beautiful thing.
That is great. That's why the pitch counts were down for both. 8 solid innings for both.
Cedeno with that hard slider, and it's a 0-2 count to Reddick, who has struck out, grounded out, and then lined out to left with Geyer making a nice play.
There's your hard slider, and Josh kind of flailing at the pitch outside.
He's with 1 hit in the 3rd, 1 hit in the 4th, 1 hit in the 5th, and 2 hits in the 8th. That's it. All singles. Reddick toward left, and Geyer a couple steps into foul territory has it. So Reddick is 0 for 4, and with 2 outs, Chris Davis will try to be a hero.
I think what might have happened in the first inning, Joe West to call that catcher's interference. You ever think about what might have happened? I mean, this could have been a whole different game. Odorizzi could have imploded.
That's why there should be replaying it on all plays, not just most of them. Kevin Cash is going to make a pitching change. So Cedeno faces 2 hitters, retires them both, and Erasmo Ramirez is coming in.
The classic day on the green with a fireworks show presented by Lagunitas. The legendary concerts at the Coliseum featured the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, The Who, U2, Led Zeppelin, and many more. The fireworks show will be set to music from select day on the green performers. Fans can watch the show from the outfield grass. As always, on-field capacity is limited. Get your tickets today at athletics.com/fireworks.
So with 2 outs, Erasmo Ramirez comes in to face Chris Davis. And that one stays on the inside corner for a strike. Davis is 1 for 3. He's singled in the 4th inning. 23 home runs. Swing and a miss. Ramirez had good action moving away from Davis.
Action moving away can put a ball in the opposite field seats too, but just stay on it just a little bit. They don't want him to try to pull it.
And he catches the outside corner, strike 3 called. So Ramirez on 3 pitches strikes out Chris Davis. We got extra innings from the Coliseum. It's all about Joe Stiglitz, and this week his guest is A's shortstop Marcus Semien. So make sure you check out the A's Insider, Joe Stiglitz, and his Insider podcast. It's every week at CSNCalifornia.com. You can also find it on iTunes. It's brought to you by Max Muscle Sports Nutrition. He is our A's Insider, and he's working hard, getting ready for the trade deadline.
Oh, I thought he was getting ready to interview you.
Well, he's digging up rumors, looking for what's happening in the trade market. Will the A's make a deal? Will they not? Will they make more than one trade? When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and smog expert. So Ryan Dole comes in, extra innings, no score. Last time the A's went to extras tied 0-0, April of last year against the Astros.
That's right. Tycho, Kazmir, thanks to Larry. That was seesaw battle.
So it ended up 5-4. Some extra inning action, sounds like.
Houston got the lead. Josh Reddick tied it. There's a pinch hitter that night in the 10th inning.
0-1 pitch to Corey Dickerson, a strike, and it's 0-2. Dickerson, Beckham, and Kiermaier against Dole. It's the lefty Mark Zebczynski. And Dickerson waves at a pitch way up in the strike zone.
That's a chase, and he chased it. Shaking his head, wondering, why would I do that? Ryan Dole just went up the ladder, maybe unintentionally, but it worked out with the aggressive Dickerson.
Now batting, shortstop, Tim Beckham.
So here's Beckham. Beckham is 1 for 3. He had a base hit in the 5th inning. The Madsen goes an inning. It's up a walk and a strikeout. Beckham swings at that slider.
These guys are wanting to end it one swing, and
happens a lot.
Thinking fastball and a slider, no chance to reach it.
Meaning it happens a lot where you see more swings and misses in extra innings.
Absolutely.
Because guys are trying to indeed hit it out of the park.
It had the same swing. The first slider that he missed on that fastball, he might have done something, but Ryan Dull, Stephen Vogt going with the slider to the first pitch. Figuring the aggressiveness of Beckham, he would try to do what he did.
So 0-2. Dull did not pitch last night. It was Neal and Hendricks who pitched last night. Good take that time from Beckham.
Dull looking at his finger or thumb or something that kept looking at after making the last pitch.
We don't need another blister.
No, we don't. No, I was thinking the same thing.
Interesting. This is the only West Coast game tonight.
Said that last night.
Same as tonight. Yeah. Which doesn't happen very often.
No, that's right.
There's one other game still going on. The Dodgers and the Cardinals are in the 13th inning in St. Louis. Tied. Hit hard and foul. Healy got a glove on it as he dove. He was hugging the line.
Well, he's upset, but I think does he realize it's a foul ball? I mean, Beckham crushed it, but he got the glove on it, but the ball was over the bag foul, and that's why Ripperger made the call. Fortunately, it was foul because that's a double otherwise. That's considered seriously guarding the line when you have a fall in your foul territory. He's going to stay right on the line. 1, 2, 1.5 steps.
Popped up. Simeon backpedaling, calling everybody off. 2 away. But make sure you join us tomorrow. It'll be game 3 of this 4-game series. Kendall Graveman and Drew Smyly. Graveman a righty, Smyly a lefty. Coverage begins at 5:30 with A's pregame live. And you get complete A's coverage every night on Sportsnet Central and CSNCalifornia.com. So Smyly just 2-11. Been a decent pitcher over the years, but really struggling this year. And Kendall Graveman, he's going in the right direction.
Yes, he is.
Pitching great lately.
Oh, everybody, the Rays called time. Everybody looking out to center field. That's the reason.
Coco took care of it. Extra innings, and they got a baseball. Not the conventional way, though.
Where'd it come from? How long had it been on the warning track?
So 1-1 the count to Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier, a line drive. Reddick's right there. 3 up, 3 down inning for Dull. Bottom of the 10th coming up. It'll be Vogt, Lowry, and Smolinski. No score.
delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to AtBat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. They're all waiting. So are we. Something special in extra innings and walk-off fashion.
So it'll be Stephen Vogt to lead things off against Erasmo Ramirez, who came in to face Chris Davis and struck him out in the ninth. Vogt takes the first pitch strike. Vogt, Lowry, Smolinski, the 3 scheduled hitters for the A's. Swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. Odorizzi, Cedeno, Ramirez. Three pitchers so far for the Rays. That changeup, and Ramirez, he's always had a good changeup.
Started the 9th inning last night, did not last. 2 batters, base hit and a hit batter. And there's a check swing, try to hold up, but Stephen Vogt, boy, look at that slow down. Exmo right to the bat. Glad he fouled it because it looked like it's going to be strike 3.
Vogt is 0 for 3 in the game. Had a good rip that time.
Can't really say the third baseman's guarding the line for the Tampa Bay Rays.
He's not worried about the double.
No.
That's Longoria. Longoria is okay there. He was college shortstop, drafted as a shortstop, so he's been in that spot before.
And there are times he's moved to right field, and they've kept the shortstop at his position.
Longoria is going to have to hustle out on this one, and he's going to make the catch. So he looked like a shortstop on that play.
Ran into position at shortstop position, actually out in the shallow center field, and had to stop, backpedal a little bit. The Tampa Bay franchise leader in almost everything. It's a nice play.
So with 1 out now, Lowry will step up. Lowry is 0 for 3. There's a shot towards center. Kiermaier coming in, and he made the catch. I did not think he was going to catch it, and then I realized it was Kiermaier.
Exactly.
That was a great play.
See at the top of your screen, and it comes charging in, no breaking back, and
Center fielder, Jake
he just
Smolinski.
lifts and says, ow. I don't know, the ow was hitting the ground. Quite an amazing, great game of baseball. Ball right at the center fielder. Ball hit that hard to his right or left. It's extra bases.
Yep. He landed hard, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how something like that can happen where a ball hits so hard. By the way, we're in dozen number 11.
That's right.
Baseballs.
The ball count.
Have to ask Christian down there or Austin, the A's bat boys. How many baseballs have you used tonight, guys? Well, another one thrown out by Big Joe.
So the ones that get thrown out,
It's 2 different bags. Yep.
that they could use for batting practice. Or
Yeah. Or Christian and Austin can give away.
slowly hit. Beckham to first, and Ramirez has a 3-up, 3-down inning. So we're moving to the 11th. Still looking for a run in this game.
program designed to educate and encourage youth to live healthy and active lifestyles. Participants can compete in the monthly fitness challenges with select winners eligible for A's games tickets and other A's opportunities. Take the Fitness Sluggers Pledge. Download the Fitness Sluggers posters by visiting athletics.com/fitness.
So we got a pinch hitter for the Rays leading off the 11th inning, Brad Miller. Miller is hitting for the catcher, Mahle. Dull stays out there, and the first pitch is a slider, a little up. "15 home runs for Miller. So that number probably pops into the head of Kevin Cash.
Absolutely.
Right there, first strike, 2-1. Last time the A's went to the 11th, tied 0-0, July 4th, 2014. Miller taken again, and it's another strike, 2-2. Forsythe will be next, and then Geyer here in the top of the 11th. Swing and a miss, threw it right by him. So Miller, he got 3 fastballs. He only swung at one of them.
Well, you talk about a paint job by Ryan Dahl. Outside corner, Stephen Vogt. Watch the catcher's mitt. Perfectly thrown right on the corner. That is spectacular. Just a blazing fastball, and Miller thinking more pulling maybe with the hips opening up.
So now to the top of the order in Forsythe. Fouls it straight back. Ryan Dahl has retired all 4 of his hitters that he has faced with a couple of strikeouts. Good slider, and it's 0-2. Forsythe is 0 for 4 out of the leadoff spot. Got a fastball, maybe more of the plate than Dahl wanted, but
Feel like the aggressiveness of Ryan Dahl and the finish, that little bit added finish, and I think that's what maybe enough deception for the hitters that the ball gets on a little bit quicker than they anticipate. Slider, see if he can chase it.
Sean Manaea 8 shutout innings tonight. Matson pitched the 9th. Dahl pitched the 10th. Dahl again in the 11th. And that slider hung a little bit. Popped up, shallow right. Reddick hustling in, and Reddick has it.
So you're saying sometimes a hanger works.
Yeah, that was another hanger.
Yep, stayed on the inner part of the plate, but close enough that Forsythe had to try to make contact to stay alive.
Left fielder Brandon Geyer.
So with 2 outs, Geyer will hit. Geyer is 1 for 4. The Rays' last hit was in the 8th inning. And that is a base hit. So that's going to get Longoria at bat here in the 11th.
So the two catchers, Maile, who's now
Now
out.
batting for the Rays.
Kirk Casale is their other catcher, talking it over.
Longoria.
Guarding the line, this a lot of times will happen when you see a third baseman guarding the line, opens up the left side of the infield. See Healy to the right, no chance for Simeon, so it's opened up quite a bit. And the question now with the speed of Geyer, let Longoria hit or let Geyer attempt to steal a base if possible.
And Longoria takes a fastball on the inside corner. I don't think he agreed with the call.
So Stephen Vogt set up outside, the pitch running back on the inside part of the plate. Can't argue with Big Joe.
Simeon has it. He'll go to second. Side retired. Another runner left for the Rays. Bottom of the 11th coming up. Alonso, Healy, and Simeon to hit for the A's.
Seven strikeouts. Did a great job. Sean Manaea did with his deepest in 8 innings, and then Ryan Batson, a big strikeout. That was in the 9th, and then Ryan Dahl, a couple of innings. So 10 strikeouts combined for the 3 pitchers for the Athletics and just 1 walk. A's will try to win it in the bottom of the 11th. Enough is enough.
We've had enough. Swinging and a miss on the Ramirez changeup by Yonder Alonso.
It's Casale, the catcher, as you mentioned, in now for the Rays in the bottom of the 11th.
Alonso is 0 for 3. He reached on that error in the 8th inning, hit that pop-up that Kiermaier came in and dropped. So 0-2. Healy to follow. And then it'll be Simeon. Hit hard, and that's a base hit. Shift was on, and Alonso beat it. So leadoff single, and that's the winning run.
Well, ground ball to second base, but there's no second baseman in the location. And for the team that shifts as much as anybody, if not more, a ground ball at the second base position. But Yonder Alonso found a way to hit it in that direction and get it into right center field.
So here is Ryan Healy, who is 1 for 3. Healy squares. And he bunts it. And the out will be at first, so nicely done by Ryan Healy.
Is there anything the young man can't do? That's pretty impressive. Something the A's do not do a lot of. But Ryan Healy, a perfect sacrifice, squared around. Big guy got on top of a pitch that was up high. And he's done some practice of this. That is a great bunt.
You notice how he didn't jab at it or pull it. He just held the bat right there.
Right. Exactly right. Great job. So Marcus Semien will get in the bat. We'll keep his streak alive as he tries to win it. Go ahead, run at second base.
236, 20 home runs.
And a base hit to right field, and again a vacated right side of the infield, and more Semien is attempting to do that.
Oh, and he got a hanger, and he fouled it straight back. Vinny Romero, the lefty. Kevin Jepson, the righty.
Joe West pointing a lot of people, including Ramirez, on the mound.
That one hung inside as well, but Semien did not get those arms extended. 0-2 the count. Coco Crisp will be next. Alonso, the winning run. Outfield is in. We want to be able to have a shot at Alonso at the plate, so they come in at least a couple steps.
Well, they typically play very shallow, and they are doing it again right now. Well, Marcus Semien has had a lot of success this year, especially with the long ball with 2 strikes. Almost half of his home runs have come in the count. Right now, a single in the right direction would do the job.
Foul back. 93 miles an hour, a little up from Erasmo Ramirez. No runs in the game. You don't see that very often. 0-0 in the bottom of the 11th.
Hits with runners in scoring position.
Not a lot.
A's would love to get one now.
That one floats inside. 2-2. Off the glove.
Foul ball.
They're saying a foul ball.
Now Joe can see that, I guess. Did change direction, and usually you see a catcher miss a ball that badly. And Semien started his swing.
Oh, the back of the bat. You don't see that very often.
My question, why did Casali run after if it's a foul ball? And then point back to Joe West.
Tap toward third. Longoria charges. And Longoria across to first. So Semien is out.
Well, remember it showed on this date in A's history what happened with Coco Crisp for the walk-off? It's appropriate.
It is.
It's very appropriate. What year was that?
2012.
What's happening?
There was a little bit more happening in 2012.
That's it.
Just enough.
Just enough. 13 walk-offs. Regular season 13 and then 1 in the postseason with Stephen Vogt. Did you see the water flying on the Exmo? That was pretty neat. See the droplets of water. Take that same one right now just over Forsythe's head. Really, Coco can do anything you want, just as long as you get a hit.
Coco is 0 for 4 tonight. First pitch, changeup, swing and a miss. We gave you the numbers again. Coco leading the major leagues with a .423 average with runners in scoring position. So 1-1 the count. Coco tonight has grounded out twice to the pitcher and hit a pair of fly balls to center field. A little bit inside. Ramirez went in there with a fastball.
And the conversation that on the mound, it might have been about just what you said about his average with runners in scoring position, maybe not give him anything to hit, although Josh Reddick, another lefty in the on-deck circle, hitting in the second spot tonight.
Again, it's low, 3-1. Reddick waiting in the on-deck circle. And the changeup, Coco takes it. So he'll grab the walk.
And this was Josh Reddick against the Astros. The splintered bat, Correa a little surprise, Simeon scoring from second. And Josh Reddick for the walk-off. Josh Reddick is going to have to face another lefty in this at-bat, as he did tonight.
So when it's time for change, take Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and smog experts.
By authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
So 2 on, 2 out. He's trying to win it here with Reddick at the plate facing the lefty Enny Romero. First pitch is down and away.
And Josh knows he'd have to throw a cutter off his four-seam fastball and a curveball. Fastball mid-90s is making his 34th and 35th appearance.
Not close again. 2-0. So Reddick has the count in his favor now. And it's 3-0. Chris Davis would be next. In first strike. So now Reddick can zero in on a spot.
And he got probably the only fastball he's going to see in the at bat. Just got it on 3-0.
And he missed outside with a slider. And now the bases are loaded.
Kevin Cash out again. For the righty.
So we'll be back. Bases are loaded for the A's.
After the A's had faced the Rays in St. Petersburg, this is what Chris Davis, who waits now with the bases loaded, did that night. Third home run in the game for Chris Davis. The walk-off grand slam, and watch his little jump shot. And guys were holding the basket, walk off. It's good, has bubble gum attached.
That tastes good.
To the pie. And right now, I don't even think that's it for a grand slam. How about just a wild pitch?
Yeah.
Kevin Jepson, who pitched 2/3 of an inning last night, a couple of fly balls to center field. Actually, one to right and one to center in the 8th inning.
First pitch to Davis is grounded to short. And that'll do it. So the A's leave him loaded as Davis goes after the first pitch, and the 12th inning's coming up. Don't scroll.
Classic day on the green with a fireworks show presented by Lagunitas. The legendary concerts at the Coliseum featured the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, The Who, U2, Led Zeppelin, and many more. The fireworks show will be set to music from select day on the green performers, and fans can watch the show from the outfield grass. As always, on-field capacity is limited. Get your tickets today at athletics.com/fireworks.
So top of the 12th. Both teams looking for a run. John Axford comes in. Appearance number 43 for Axford. He'll face Pierce, Souza, and Dickerson. So each team with 6 hits. There's been 1 error in the game. It was by the Rays.
Wonder how Chris Townsend's doing tonight. His first night as the PA announcer in the 12th inning.
No end in sight. Steve Pierce is 1 for 4. And now it's 2-0. Pierce, his hit was a single in the 7th inning. And that one is drilled towards center. Smolinski's going to grab it and drive out.
He gets some good jumps. Smolinski does. Jake, center field, straight in, then over. This is that hit high, more an in-time hit catch, and it's amazing shot there, as we showed earlier, where he puts the glove up in the position where the ball is coming. Some guys will run and then bring the glove up, but he puts it actually in the position, and it's pretty unique the way he does it. The jump he gets on the baseballs in left center or right center.
First pitch to Souza. He shows bunt, pitches high. So I got all 12 hits being singles tonight.
That's right. Yeah, and only a couple of times had the Rays had a runner in scoring position. Dickerson in the 5th, which is the first hit, given up by Sean Manaea. He moved to second on Beckham's hit.
Kiermaier got to 3rd in the 8th inning. Did not score. 2-0 to Steven Souza. Dickerson to follow. Could be a play for Alonso. It'll be a long run. He is near the mound, and he made a catch, and a good one.
Well, he's so smooth. He got near the mound, and actually, look, it's like an outfielder would be seeing how close he is to the wall. He got over and checked to see where he was in the incline, avoided it. Little stutter step along the side of the mound, and a nice, very calm, collected catch for a big second out. It's a time you do not want to give a hitter a second chance. Nice that it's a night game, didn't have to worry about fighting the sun, but Alonso is smooth and continues to show it at first.
So here's Corey Dickerson. You have to be careful here. Dickerson's got lots of power. 14 home runs. One for 4 with a single in the 5th. He also reached on a fielder's choice in the 7th. Missed outside. They're still playing in St. Louis. They're in the 15th inning of a 3-3 game. Cardinals and the Dodgers. Rangers lost tonight. The Astros won. Lead in the West is down to 2.5. It's 3-0 now to Dickerson.
think Dickerson would have a green light if he saw something he liked. And what he saw was a pitch that was outside. 2-out base runner.
Now batting, shortstop.
That's just the second
Tim
walk in the game
Beckham.
issued by A's pitchers. The Rays pitchers have only walked 2, so it's been a pretty clean game. So here's Beckham. Outfield playing very deep. Dickerson does not have a stolen base this year. Outfielders, they just do not want the ball to get into the gap.
It's the whole thing, and be able to cut quickly over if the ball is hit towards the gap.
Fastball for a strike right there. 1-1 the count.
Floor was loosening up there. Colome gets up just in case for the runner first. Coulombe and Colome and Floro.
Dickerson has about an average lead at first. And he goes. And the ball's hit towards center. Smolinski going back. He's got room and he makes the catch. Side retired, a runner left. Bottom of the 12th coming up, still 0-0. And the A's were chasing the Dodgers and the Cardinals. They're 3-3 in the bottom of the 15th. The Dodgers were 1 out away from a win. Jed Jerko hit a solo home run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th to tie that game at 3, and they have continued on since then.
10 pitches used by the Dodgers. Man, they're into the bullpen and starters, it sounds like.
That's got to be frustrating. You're 1 out away from a win, and then you're still sitting there 6 innings later.
And it's 12-15 in St. Louis, 1-15 in St. Petersburg. And it's Bark at the Park tonight.
It's only 10-13 here at the Coliseum. It's really been a, you don't say this very often as we're in the bottom of the 12th, but it really has been a fast moving game.
Yeah.
It's just we're into extra innings. Vogt bounces one. Nice play by Floro, who grabs it himself, steps on the bag, 1 out. So Dylan Floro is the new pitcher. Our first look at him.
Now batting,
Don't believe he was in the bullpen when the A's
No,
were
he was
in
not.
St.
No.
Petersburg
No.
in May.
There's a few guys that are. Andriese, who pitched against the A's as a starter.
Yeah. So he's left out in that bullpen, Ray, when you start looking at who's left. Floro and the closer, Colome, and then Andriese, who could obviously go multiple innings. So the Rays probably feel like they're in decent shape in this game as far as who they have left. Lowry is 0 for 4. Strike called outside corner, and it's 0-2. Jed Lowry not thrilled with that call. Floro has not been in the big leagues very long. He made his major league debut the 7th of July. So he's really only been up for a couple of weeks.
These guys like to come up and enjoy the 4-day All-Star break.
Yep.
Right now 0-2 to 3-2. Ball running away from Jed Lowry after a couple of questionable strikes.
3-2 pitch, grounded. Forsythe can't get it, and that's a 1-out single for Lowry. Lowry's limping a little bit.
Now batting, center fielder, Jake Smolinski.
Well, pitch might have been out of the strike zone, but a couple of pitches called strikes. He grimaced whenever he swung.
He's not moving great.
Yeah. Well, something happened even as he swung the bat, and that's something to maybe stay in the game. But also, if it's lower extremities, then it's an important run.
Yeah, and the two players on the A's bench are Butler and McBride. Down and into Smolinski, who's 2 for 4. A couple of singles for Smolinski.
On the front foot, and
the Rays outfielders, like the A's outfielders, were playing deep.
Because the way Floro's throwing the hard sinker, you'd think ground ball, as Jed Lowry did, but the pitcher was down low. Floro has a lot of movement on the two-seam fastball.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Good call. A hard sinker down. So you know what he's looking for.
And this is difficult for a hitter too, because you get in a fastball hitter's count and you're thinking good fastball, but you're always concerned about the sinker and beating the ball to the ground. Unfortunately for Smolinski, he fouled it off himself, kept it foul. Longoria guarding the line at third, so the big hole on the left side.
And that's going to work. Forsythe, now they throw back behind, and Lowry has to dive back in.
Wow.
Heads up play by Forsythe.
But how
And
about
Smolinski gets the hit.
check swing with the shift? Look at where the second baseman of the check swing. Forsythe diving to keep the ball from going in the outfield, and looked like Lowry was going to third. And then as he was getting back to second, that, oh, please let my hand get on the bag quickly. Just barely. And yeah, that's a play where Beckham, the shortstop, didn't know what Lowry had done. Kind of out in front and then reaching back, and no chance. He was upset that he wasn't on the bag. Jed thinking if the ball gets into right field, I got a chance to go to third. He started in the whoops, and then a dive back like he is going for a swim race. Big question, wonder about his ankle too, Kite.
Yep. First baseman, Yonder Alonso.
So here is Yonder Alonso with a chance to win it. And listen, if we notice it, the Rays notice it. So it's not the spot you want to have a guy with a sore leg, but that's the way it is. He's the winning run.
And the outfield again very shallow.
Alonso takes down and away.
And like Tuesday night, the shift to open up the left side of the infield. And they want to pitch him away, so the sinker down and away while you're wanting a ground ball, but in the case of Smolinski, to the right side, got through.
Not close. 2-0. Lowry and Smolinski out of the runners. Lowry's the runner that matters. Back to the mound, fires to second for one. Nice play by Beckham on the low throw, and that's a 1-6-3 double play. So the A's do not score. 13th inning coming up. Rays 0, A's 0. Into the double play, and it's never an easy double play, the 1-6-3. Good throws need to be made, especially that first one.
Well, and you said it best that Beckham made a great play at second base, caught a ball at the ground, and then came straight up with Smolinski going in hard, made a strong throw to first, and Beckham showing that he can play different positions, and that time, quite an adjustment for the young man to play.
Threw his best sinker to second base.
Well, he's consistent.
Man. So here's Kiermaier to lead it off. First pitch in first strike. Top of the 13th. Last time the A's went to 13th inning, tied 0-0. You got to go back to 2004. And they won that game 1-0.
Blue Jays are involved in a lot of those games.
Kiermaier couldn't decide whether to swing or not, and it's 0-2. He's 1 for 4. Casali will follow, and then Forsythe. They're still playing in St. Louis. They're going to the bottom of the 16th inning. Dodgers 3, Cardinals 3. I don't want to catch them. I really don't. Jam shot, foul. They still have Hendricks, Neal, Zebczynski, and Cologne. Ryan Dole's 2 innings certainly helped out the bullpen situation in this game, and Manaea going 8 innings.
Manaea is the key, because 8 innings, you go short as a starting pitcher, then by this time you're depleted your bullpen.
High fastball, and Kiermaier chased it.
It's like Axford getting a little bit loose, maybe able to spot his pitches, the fastball up and out of the strike zone.
Catcher, Kurt
A high
Casale.
fastball, and Kiermaier can't believe he swung it. Chris Townsend can't believe it's extra innings.
Hang with them, Tony. The crowd tonight, 15,250. Some have left. Kurt Casale hits for the first time. 164 his average. He does have 6 home runs. Casale has struck out a lot. 67 times in 171 innings.
Well, that slider he just tried to reach is probably the reason why. Good chase slider by John Axford.
Tried it again. Casale takes this one.
Well, it seems like it should be a day game tomorrow, but it's going to be a night game.
Thank
It's
goodness.
a 6:05 first pitch. Fireworks after the game. 6:05 or 7?
6:05.
Okay.
1-2 pitch is lofted foul. Can't forget about the A team.
I did.
And I just reminded.
Just can't believe this is Friday.
Check swing, rolled foul.
The radio guy's a little nervous about this extra inning. Ken with all the recap of the game. Of course, there's nothing to recap so far. There's no scoring.
Oh, he'll find something to recap. It's the great Ken Korak.
Radio voice of the A's.
Healy has it. Healy throws out Casale, 2 outs.
Now batting, second baseman Logan Forsythe.
Another baseball out there, dozen, number 12 now. Jeez. I mean,
We got baseballs on our amount of baseballs on our mind. It was a great question.
I mean, that ball was a ground ball to third, throw to first, throw it around the infield, throw it out.
But who's throwing it out?
Brian Healy. I don't know why. Maybe John wanted a new baseball. But
See, I always thought the pitcher would want it. Give me the scuffed ball.
Absolutely. And certain pitchers,
I mean, you could pull it off. Umpires, I mean, most of the time they may check, but they're not going to. If it's just a routine out.
well, and that's why an umpire, when he gets the baseball, he'll look at it, and there's sometimes he'll put it back in his pocket,
Sure,
and get a new one.
And that's going to be a base hit for Forsythe.
A 2-out walk last inning, 2-out base hits this inning. And last inning it was Dickerson attempting to steal after the line drive, though, was the final out, and that pitch guided perfectly to right field past Lowry with the shift. But no, I agree with you, and I just think they're a scuffed baseball. What do I do with it? Well, you can do a lot of things with it, but I think pitchers maybe do not know how to use a scuffed ball to their advantage.
It's over. Big Matt Adams just hit a home run, so those two teams ground through 16 innings. I saw where Bud Norris was pitching, and he's a starter for the Dodgers. So once you get into your starters, that's probably never a good thing. It screws you up for 3 days.
Well, he's telling his buddy on the left, I'm done, we're done. You know, Cardinals won. 12:30.
He's fine now.
Yeah, he starts to yawn thinking it's 12:30. Oh, it's at St. Louis.
Hey, buddy, we won our game.
Oh, the old Redbird. Remember Sportsman's Park with the Redbird? And
It's a great insignia.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of the great ones.
Hit a home run at Old Sportsman's Park. 4 Bush 1, Bush 2. That the Eagles would fly across the scoreboard.
Inside the Geyer, so 1-1 the count.
This is a Hall of Fame weekend too, so all the Hall of Famers back at Cooperstown.
They're all watching us right now, probably on MLB.com.
Watching Phil Pohl. Phil is from Cooperstown.
That's right.
A's bullpen catcher, so we got a Hall of Famer down in the A's bullpen.
And now the count 1-2. Forsythe, the runner at first, has 5 steals in 7 attempts, so he does have the ability to steal a bag.
Left heel. Listen, as much as he has hit with a pitch baseball, a foul ball off his foot can't bother him. There's Phil Pohl sitting next to Emo, and of course Scotty. It's a threesome.
Getting a little thin down there.
Just wonder if the heater's going.
Is it on?
It was on the other night, 66 degrees.
Yeah,
for
so
Houston,
there's
so.
once it gets low 60s. Runner goes, and a swing and a miss on a high fastball, and that will do it for the Rays in the top of the 13th. Bottom of the 13th coming up.
Chicago Cubs Saturday, August the 6th. 15,000 fans will go home with a retro Billy Ball 3/4 sleeve baseball tee. It's presented by Cache Creek Casino Resort. In addition, the A's will be wearing throwback uniforms that pay homage to the 1981 Billy Martin team that advanced to the 1981 ALCS. Get tickets at athletics.com. So you know it's late when we start duplicating great promos coming up at the Coliseum. That's all right. That's why we have a great crew in the truck.
You think Roundtable could bring us some pizza?
That would be perfect. I was just thinking about that.
I don't mean to get crazy, but
why not?
It'll be Healy, Simeon, and Chris. Bottom of the 13th. And the pitcher again, Dylan Floro, who got a big double play to end the 12th, 1-6-3 double play. There's a line drive, fair. It's headed into the left field corner, and Healy's going to have a leadoff double here in the 13th. Well, somebody's going to have a chance to be a hero.
That ball was smoked, and you'd like to think elevation, but you take the leadoff double anyway. A pitch that was up, not the sinker we saw. And Healy crushed it. I mean, you talk about a tomahawk. Double in the right center field. And now this double hit hard over Longoria's head as he tried to jump and catch it.
Simeon.
Down the left field line. And the The young man who came up just a week ago tonight to make his major league debut. He's had quite a week.
So he picks up his third double. So we'll see what the A's do with Marcus Semien. Corner infielders think he's going to bunt. And he bunts through it. It's a strike. So this is kind of the situation, Ray, for a manager. Do you bunt Semien? And I think it seems pretty obvious that you would. But there's some managers who will say, you know what, I would rather have 3 shots at somebody getting a hit to drive in the winning run.
But if he's successful in the third, then the Rays have to make a decision. Do they? Well, there it is. He was swinging away. But if you get him a third and 1 out, then the Rays can either walk. They can see who's coming up, which would be Coco, and then Reddick. They face Davis. Is your pitcher good enough to throw strikes without walking? So there are a lot of decisions that have to be made. But right now, since it's 0-2, Marcus Semien was trying to drive the ball someplace.
Outside with the hard slider from Floro. Tap toward Beckham, who charges to get a good hop. And that's the second out. I take that back. That's the first out. But in this case, it's an unproductive out.
Now batting, left
And here's
fielder,
Coco Crisp.
Coco Crisp.
Well, the A's are getting their 3 chances and 1 down, 2 to go. And last time Coco was up, there were 2 outs. I think it was a little bit of a pitch around, and then Reddick walked. And then Jepson got a 1 pitch out on Davis.
So Coco with a chance. Had a lot of big hits in his career with the A's.
They're about nothing better than sprint out and celebrate.
Outside, 2-0. It's been Odorizzi, Cedeno, Ramirez, Romero, Jepson, and Floro. Getting in a third of work so far for Floro. Nasty pitch there. He's got a funky delivery. There's like quite a bit of arms and legs coming at you.
Delivery pulled the string on a changeup, 2-0, and there, kind of towards the middle of the plate. That's what you should do with a changeup. Just throw it in the middle.
Missed outside, 3-1.
So Coco had 3-1. His last at bat got a 3-1 changeup. That was from Ramirez. Romero came in and walked Reddick, and then Jepson. So see if he goes to another 3-1 changeup.
And there's a line drive base hit. This should do it. Here comes Healy. The throw to the plate, nowhere close. And the A's will walk it off in the 13th inning. So it took a while. So a lot of good pitching from both sides. But when it's all said and done, it's the veteran, Coco Crisp, who wins it for the Athletics. And man, said it a couple times in tonight's game, Ray, that he has the best average in all of baseball with runners in scoring position. 423 coming into tonight. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that he was the guy who won it.
And he went with a fastball. Floro went with a fastball outside, and Coco, great job opposite field hitting for the game winner. And he is a veteran. He is the one who knows how to handle with runners in scoring position, and who better to have at the plate to be able to get it done. And tell you, that young man, Healy, started the inning with a booming double down the left field line, able to score the winning run. So showing some speed, defense, and just running down to celebrate with Coco Crisp, who had the game winning, one batted in.
So Healy's double, the first extra base hit in the game by either team, and then Coco's single wins it, and Coco his only hit of the night, but it was a game winner. So the A's even up the series at a game apiece with a 1-0 win here in 13 innings. So quite a night, lots of great pitching, but when it's 0-0, you just need one big hit, and the A's got it from Coco Crisp, who is standing by downstairs. And Coco, congratulations on the game-winning hit. And I have to ask you, with the count where it was in that final at-bat, were you surprised that he gave you a pitch to hit, thinking, you know, first base is open, maybe pass on you and go on to the next guy?
Well, yeah, kind of, just because it's only one out, put me on, then you got a chance for a double play. But his ball's moving all over the place. I know he has faith in himself. I just was able to get a bat on it and get a knock.
You know, the previous bet we were just talking about, he had 3-1. You got a changeup that you took for ball 4. Of course, it was at the time with 2 outs. How much thinking about a changeup at that point, and maybe going opposite field the way you did, or just thinking opposite field the way you like to hit?
I was just trying to put the barrel on it, and whatever happened after that happened. So Red's trying to sneak up on me, but here he comes.
Oh, baby. Oh!
That is cold. Man, double. My gosh.
But you like that, don't you? I mean, you're the walk-off champ.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling for sure.
You know what, Coco, it's funny. We showed a highlight earlier in the game. It was 4 years ago to this date when you had a walk-off against the New York Yankees that finished off a 4-game sweep. We've interviewed you a lot after walk-offs, but you seem very calm in these situations. Were you always like this in your career? Is it really just a veteran thing where you've been there before and you understand the situation?
Yeah, for some reason in these situations, whether it's like playoffs or in these big situations, for some reason I'm able to stay calm up there and really stay within myself and not try to do too much. And it's been paying off. I just got to lock it in like that when nobody's on base, you know, but hopefully the tides will turn and that ended up happening.
You know, you seem to stand at the plate, very little if any stride. You have the upper body strength. How much does that help you knowing that you don't have to stride? You can let the ball travel a lot longer, get to you.
Yeah, it's just my approach. I know a lot of guys have gone with that approach lately in the game, striding early and just letting the ball get deep and trying to put good wood on it. But for me, I'm not a power hitter, so I just try to stay within myself, and sometimes it goes out, and sometimes I get those knocks like I did just now.
Coco, we were here too long tonight, so we want to thank you very much for getting that hit. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, so Coco Crisp is the hero tonight with the base hit that scored Ryan Healy, and let's not forget about Ryan Healy, the big double opening up the 13th, and the A's win it 1-0 in 13 innings. So a terrific performance tonight. Took 3 hours and 31 minutes. 15,250 was the attendance, and they saw a walk-off. The A's won, the Rays nothing in 13 innings. You've been watching A's Baseball on CSN California. It's part of the NBC Sports Group. Don't go away. A's Post Game Live with Brody and Shooty starts right now.
Oh, baby. Oh!
That is cold. Man, double. My gosh.
But you like that, don't you? I mean, you're the walk.